Okay, welcome everybody to a new episode of The Solar Journey. Today we have a new guest. It's Radovan Kopecek. Welcome, Rado.
Hello, everyone.
Yeah, so Rado was born in Brno. That's back then was a city in Czechoslovakia, now in the Czech Republic. He studied science in Germany and in the United States of America. In 2002, he got his Ph.D. in the city of Konstanz in Germany in the field of thin film crystalline photovoltaics. Until the end of 2006, he was a group leader at the University of Konstanz. That's in southern Germany, close to Switzerland, beautiful area, close to Austria, at the beautiful lake of Konstanz. In German, it's Bodensee, and yeah, you can
you see it?
Yeah,
little bit.
Too sunny day. Yeah,
okay.
Too much of a sunny day. So, and he's one of the co-founders and now managing directors of ISC Konstanz. ISC Konstanz was founded in 2005, and it's a non-profit organization with around about 60 employees. And this institute focuses on solar cell research and global technology transfer. And in addition, since 2016, Rado is also on the board of directors of the Association of European R&D Centers involved in renewable energy research. And on top, he's a co-founder of Atomos. That's an R&D center for desert solar modules and systems in Chile, South America. So, as you can see, he's a real solar cell techie with global mindset. Almost all of his professional life. He's very active on LinkedIn if you want to see what he's up to. But also you can meet him on almost all conferences on solar energy on this planet. And also not rarely you can find him on stage of those conferences as a session chair. So again, very warm welcome to you, Rado.
Thank you very much, Torsten, for this great invitation and to be able to talk about my favorite topic, which is me. no, which is photovoltaics, actually. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. So let us know, why did you get started in solar in the first place?
In first place, yeah, because I needed money. So as you already mentioned, I studied physics in US and in Germany. And when I came back after my master at Portland State in 1995, I actually needed money to continue my studies in Stuttgart because I did not feel ready to be a physicist.
Yeah.
And at that time, a very good friend of mine, Christoph Zacek, was working at Max-Planck-Institut together with Professor Werner and Dr. Brendel at that time and Mr. Bergman, Dr. Bergman. And I just needed money, so I contacted them and wanted to work for them. And actually, at the beginning, they were not looking for anybody, but I was quite stubborn and pushy. So finally, they took me, and yeah, it was a great experience to start to work in PV in 1995. So I'm already in PV since 26 years.
Yeah, excellent. But you also continued
right
in solar. So
yeah,
what was that?
So that was actually the start, and then I enjoyed it very much because I already felt at that time that it's a very important technology. And at that time I did not do my diploma study in solar, but in superconductor technology, and that was also interesting. But I felt that I need to do something for something practical, that it also makes sense to develop in future. And that's why I left Stuttgart after my diploma. I went to Konstanz and started my PhD on crystalline silicon photovoltaics, and that was extremely interesting, not only because of the science, but during that time, you know that the politics was involved in this so-called feed-in tariff, and these were more or less like the start of successful implementation of photovoltaic. So I continued, and then 2005, we founded ISC Konstanz because there was a big need for a platform to work closely with the industry. And at that time, it were machine builders like Centrotem, Brno, and Pacini that needed assistance for development of new cell concepts. And that's how it all started.
Yeah, excellent. So you already mentioned ISC, the institute, the non-profit organization you worked for. You were also a co-founder. Mm-hmm. So who exactly are your customers?
So these days, our customers are mostly machine builders and solar cell and module producers abroad, mm-hmm. which are, for example, in India, Adani, or in China, SPIC, which is the largest electrical company in China working on renewables. So yeah. Not the largest in production, but in implementation of renewables. And they mm-hmm. have chosen our technology for production of high efficient solar cells. So in general, machine builders from Europe and producers outside of Europe.
And currently you would say India is the largest market for you, or?
Currently, I would say it's 50-50, India and China. Mm-hmm. But now it seems that India is becoming a huge market with these incentives that India started a couple of months ago. Mm-hmm. And yes, there are new customers popping up, like Reliance, maybe Avada, ESSL. This could be quite interesting for us in the future. Yeah.
So why do they hire you? As I understand, you do research on solar cell technology. You do technology transfer. Why do they need you? Why don't they rely on equipment builders or their own technology team? What's the value you bring to your customers?
Yeah, that's different from customer to customer, but mostly mm-hmm. ISC Konstanz is quite valuable, let's say, for newcomers. And of course, they could hire Chinese equipment suppliers, because they are like 10 years ago in Germany, the German machine builders were offering turnkey solutions like Centrotem, for example, and this is now what the Chinese are doing. But you know, the Indian companies sometimes are not very well connected to China, or let's say do not want to cooperate with Chinese. This depends on the customers. Other customers in India, they love to buy low-cost Chinese equipment, but mm-hmm. I would say 80% of the Indian customers these days are looking for different solutions besides of China. And then, of course, ISC Konstanz is quite knowledgeable in technology mm-hmm. transfer, so that's why they select us.
Yeah. So the business model, you basically sell your time you spend with the customers, or do you include a certain license because you have a certain know-how for a specific cell type, or how mm-hmm. what do they pay for?
Yes, so at the beginning of ISC Konstanz in 2005, our business model was completely different, and then after the production diffused to China, we had to change our business model. So at the beginning, our business model that we were serving existing customers in Germany or in Europe, like Bosch, Solar World, Sunways. Mm-hmm. There was also production in Konstanz in the past. And our business model then was to also rent our equipment, so they could go to ISC Konstanz and use our pilot line. Then, when, let's say, the production diffused to China, to Asia, then we completely changed our business model, and we bought all the patents that we commonly developed with Bosch, and were going into technology transfer. So our first customer was still in Europe, Megacell in Italy.
Mhm.
And so what we are doing at the moment, we have always two contracts that we negotiate with the customer. One is for the technology transfer and one for licenses. And licenses we can still get from the customers because our technologies are, let's say, slightly different from state of the art on the market, which is PERC, but we are, let's say, selling technologies beyond PERC.
Okay, excellent. So it's two revenue streams. One is the consulting, aka technology transfer,
Mm-hmm.
and the other one is recurring revenue through licenses. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, interesting. Cool. So the longer they produce, the more they produce, the more money you get. That's the way it works, or
yeah, exactly. It's not
also the flat rate. Yeah.
Revenues, but let's say the Asian customers, they pay the license fees up front, and this is also what they like more because they can, let's say, it's easier for them to plan what they have to pay for the technology.
Okay, it's a lump sum in the beginning. Yeah.
Exactly, in the
All
beginning,
right.
and let's say within the half a year that we are on site, there are special payments for the license fee. So it's not everything upfront, but
Okay.
depending on how fast we proceed, then the other payments are
Okay,
done.
excellent. So for how long do you usually stay involved? Is it half a year, or is it, what's the typical involvement? Yeah.
I mean, the planning starts before we go
Yeah.
on site, but from the beginning, when we go on site to, let's say, the final approval of the efficiency, it's about half a year. But what also the customer like to do with us in future are R&D projects. So they do not buy technology and then believe, because they are asking from the beginning for upgrades. So if we offer a technology, we have to show them a roadmap how they can go to higher efficiencies in future, and this is mostly then related with an R&D contract.
Okay, and that's usually like customized per customer, a special technology path, or yeah. Okay, so the customer needs to be kind of knowledgeable at some stage to decide which path you want to follow. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So they hire also, let's say, specialists that evaluate our proposals.
Yeah. Yeah.
So-called also owners, engineers that are selecting, let's say, the proposals also from other companies.
Yeah. So how many people go on site? So you roughly have 60 employees. That means then some of your engineers stay on site for half a year in India, China, somewhere.
So we have always one responsible for the project, like the project manager, and he mostly stays really for the full 6 months, and then we have specialists on different technologies, and then they travel back and forth. So normally, let's say, a typical duration for one specialist, for example, for screen printing, is about 2 months on site, and then there's a change of our people there. So all in all, there are always 5 to 7 people on site.
Okay. Excellent. And they share a flat and having a good time overseas?
Yes, that depends on the location, of course.
Okay.
Normally they have fun, yes.
So what's the favorite location for your engineers?
Yeah, we might have a project on Mauritius.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I think
everybody's lining up to go there.
Exactly. We will not have problems to find volunteers, I guess.
Okay. And in the past, what was kind of, when you look back, what was the the sweetest city or place you stayed in?
Yeah, that really depends on individual people that like the site, but I think Italy was quite nice to work at. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Also because Franco Traverso was very general, and he was very often inviting people for dinner and having parties. So
okay,
Italy was quite nice.
Excellent. Yeah. So, what are the typical challenges for you in a project? What would you say is the key challenge for your work?
Mm-hmm. Yes, so we already mentioned it. So sometimes, for example, if we have a transfer in China, in Xining, which is actually a extremely interesting place.
Yeah.
But of course, our people have families and other duties, so it's always quite difficult to make the planning of the stay. And then, I mean, you know, the situation in PV, it very often gets postponed, but you have to do the planning beforehand, and then you have changed completely. So it's the logistics behind the technology transfer is not very easy to have, let's say, all the team being available all the time.
Yeah, I can imagine. Mm-hmm. And one interesting thing about the ISC Konstanz is it's a non-profit organization. Why did you choose that type of legal body?
Yeah, that was quite easy at the time, I would say, because, you know, in 2005 there were so many companies that just wanted to make profit, and after insolvencies, they just left the field and went to another company. But we just wanted to show that ISC Konstanz is different and that we really stand behind the technology. And this was also very well seen from all the other companies, like from the machine builders, that there's really a team of people that do not want to fill their pockets with the subsidies, but to really make the institute rich. So we are making profit, of course, even if we are a non-profit organization, but the profit flows into the corporation.
Mm. So what does it exactly mean, a non-profit, right? So you make profit, but then you have to reinvest it, or you can't, there's no dividends for the owners.
Exactly.
What's exactly the difference between a private company and a non-profit organization? So at the end of the money, there's 1 million left, let's say. Usually you would keep it in keep the cash to be prepared for bad times as a company, or you would say, let's share the 1 million among the shareholders. And how do you go about it, right? Exactly. And you guys, of course, get a salary, right?
We get a salary, which is not as good as in the industry.
Okay.
So if we have more money at the end of a year, we are planning to invest it into our institute, buying new equipment, or, for example, now you mentioned it, we are 60 people, but it seems that in future will be rather 70 to 80. So we are thinking about expansion, and so we have to rather build some floors on top of our institute, or change the building, so buy a new building and new equipment, and this is what we are doing. So the money really stays within the institute, and not that we pay more for the directors so that they can drive a Tesla.
Yeah. Teslas are nice.
Yes.
Anyhow, so you're trying to find more people and specialists in solar and tech. So that's usually difficult these days. What do your employees appreciate? They are kind of employees, right? I mean, I guess.
Yeah.
What makes you So what makes you an attractive employer? Is that important, that non-profit aspect, or what's the the key attraction for you as an employer?
Yeah, the key attraction is certainly, and it was from the beginning, the location. And so we don't have any problems to get some people to Konstanz, because it's really a beautiful place. It's, close to the mountains, at the lake, very close to Switzerland and Austria, as you mentioned before.
Yeah.
But of course, the other aspect is that we hire for passion. And I think this is what the people really can feel from us from the beginning, that we are not the ones that are filling our pockets, but really want to move something. And because we work very close to the industry, and this is what many of people share with us, the passion to actually see their developments in PV systems out there. And from the beginning, we were betting on bifaciality and on N-type technologies, and I think that was a good forecast from us, because this is happening at the moment.
Yeah, and almost standard, right?
Yeah. Exactly. And we were fighting for many years for that, and so I would say at the moment it's the location and also the passionate people at our institute that are attracting other passionate people.
Yeah, fantastic. So you're a founder, you're a managing director. There's hardly any training for this, so you just did it. So when you, what was the driver to do that, right? You could have said, well, I'm going to join an equipment maker, right? And work on solar, work on tech there. What was the driver to say, well, I'm gonna do my own thing together with similarly passionate people about solar?
Yeah, so I must admit, I'm not a typical founder, and if I would not be surrounded by people like Christian Peter and Peter Fahrt and Eckhard Wefringhaus at the beginning, I would not dare to make this step. And, so at the beginning, I was hoping that the others know what they are doing. And they really made it very well. And I mean, we had good connections already at the University of Konstanz, and the push came also from the machine builders, and they were actually asking us for making this step. But anyhow, I was not the driver behind this. It was definitely Christian Peter, Peter Fahrt, and Eckhard Wefringhaus, these three people that were pushing it and also making the contracts. But let's say my strength is rather in technology, and I'm not a fast thinker. But what is my advantage, for example, is I think I'm quite creative, and I can remember things.
Okay.
And it's important to remember things in photovoltaics, what have been tried already a couple of years ago, and what worked and what not. So this is what makes me, let's say, a good director now of ISC Konstanz. Not at the beginning, but now I'm becoming more and more important in this company.
Yeah. So when you look back, what were the key lessons? You know, the biggest fails, the biggest lessons as a managing director, maybe head of technology, new advanced concepts, or just people skills, anything, right? What was the key learning?
The key learning is that if you believe in something, you really have to fight for it, even if it seems that it's going nowhere. And we had really bad times at ISC Konstanz, where the liquidity was so bad that we had to get new fresh money from the bank, and trying to convince them that it will be better in future. And yes, there were really difficult times, and yes, so I think the learnings are that it's good to have a team of directors, and this is very special about ISC Konstanz. I would say we have 6 directors, and we are all quite good friends, but also very complementary. So there is a positive one and there's a negative one, and one who likes to read the contracts. So we have a really a great team, and it's sometimes hard to discuss with 5 people and to come to a consensus. But I think that was the key for success of ISC Konstanz, that we actually spread the work on 6 shoulders, and all have the same power.
Okay, excellent, wonderful. So how did you develop your management skills? How do you optimize your day-to-day work, right? Did you get any training, or did you read any books, or how do you improve your skills?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I didn't read a book about it, but we are having monthly trainings for this, mostly how to deal with our staff, and because I think ISC Konstanz is very good about bringing technology to the market, about technology. So all the directors that are actually the highest level, they are physicists or chemists, and they do know what the people are doing, which is not always the case in a company. Mm-hmm. Normally you hire a CEO and he doesn't very often know anything about what the people are doing. But our weakness is really, let's say, still management, and to maybe not to motivate the people, but to take care of our staff more. This is what I would say is our weaknesses, and this is what we are practicing frequently.
Okay, how do you do it? Do you have an external coach, or do you just talk about it among the 6 directors? Or
exactly, we have an external coach, and this is extremely important, because if we would talk only between us, I think we will not come to a conclusion on this topic, at least. So we have an external coach, and we meet also tomorrow on Saturday to discuss these topics. How, for example, what new challenges will come to ISC Konstanz when we increase from 60 people to 80 or maybe 90, because this is really a big structural step, because when you have 60 people, you still know more or less everyone, what everyone is doing. But if you are 80, 90, then you have to completely reorganize and also make some official documents which were not in place before, and so on. So this is a big step.
Yeah, excellent, fantastic. So let's move to the outside. We talked about ISC. What's on your mind business-wise when you think about the solar industry?
Yeah, so as I told you, we started with serving German companies, and then we had to change our business plan to serve Asian companies and to make technology transfer outside of Europe. But now it seems that PV is coming home, and that's also our slogan. And we assist investors, or let's say companies that would like to restart production in Europe, very strongly with technology, and also we talk to politicians and try to create a working environment in Europe so that it will work again. And I'm quite sure it will, because now PV became the king of energy markets. So actually the situation is much different than 3 or 4 years ago. And similar to the car industry, now PV will enter a terawatt market quite soon, and we just cannot produce PV technology in one country or 2 countries like India and China. We must bring it back to Europe in order to really guarantee our ambitious goals for future.
So why do you think that it won't work, that solar modules are only produced in, let's say, China? China has a market share of, I guess something around 90-95%. Why wouldn't that work?
Yeah, I mean, it's worked so far, I would say, and the capacity of cell module production these days is about 300 giga, but of course, as everybody knows in PV, it's now limited to 200 giga because of the polysilicon crisis. But like for future, I mean, you cannot rely on continuous shipments from Asia to install huge gigawatt systems in Europe, and we are entering now really. We are still in an exponential growth of production and installation, and now when PV is the king of energy markets, every country is now hungry for photovoltaics, and this just does not work with production from one country only. And of course, China can produce at the lowest cost, also because of let's say subsidized electricity for polysilicon production and things like that. But let's say in addition, now you have to pay for the transportation costs, which rapidly increased in the last months. And one example is exactly so. So the cost for a container a couple of years ago were about $2,000, and now it shooted up to 18,000. So this is adding costs to the module prices. Mm-hmm. I mean, they will go down again, but still, we need supply security in Europe, in every country, actually, also in US. That's why local production and vertical production, I mean, you cannot rely on even one component that comes from Asia only. So we have to rebuild our supply chain in Europe and make our own modules.
Yeah. So to bring home, as you say, production, or let's say more general, to make sure that there's local production of solar modules in any parts of the world. What's the biggest obstacle to get that done? Mm-hmm. Is it technology? Is it the supply chain of materials and equipment, or mindset, maybe finances, education for the stakeholders? That comes to my mind.
That depends, of course, on the country. And
let's say Germany. Yeah.
Okay, Germany. I just wanted to say on Mauritius, we have also different challenges than in Germany.
All right, yeah.
But in Germany, it's a mixture of, let's say, banks being burned in the past with photovoltaics. So they do not trust the situation, of course, to start financing new projects again. Mm. And the other thing is that we have to rebuild our value chain again in Europe. Or what does it mean, rebuild? We have to build it, because like in 2005 or 7, when PV was big in Europe, it was on a 2 gigawatt scale. Yeah. And now if we want to set up new productions, we have to do it on 20 to 40 gigawatt scales. So 10 times more. So not rebuilding supply chain, we have to build a supply chain, and this will be the most difficult part, and it has to be the whole supply chain. So polysilicon, wafers we have to produce in Europe, cells, and of course all the other components for modules like glass and encapsulants and whatever. So we need a critical mass in Europe, which will be about 10 giga first, that really the glass producers will trust again in photovoltaic, and will restart glass production in Germany again, or in Europe again for photovoltaics. Mm. And then we can slowly grow. And I believe that, let's say, for the future market in 2030, I think we would need something like 100 giga production in Europe, which will be about 10% of the entire PV market. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Cool. So efficiencies of solar cells has improved. The cost has come down dramatically by orders of magnitudes when we go back 10, 20 years. So a lot has happened. Maybe as the closing topic for our session, still, do you have anything else on your mind that needs to be done, that needs to happen to get solar, or in general the renewables, to the next level?
Yeah, this is quite an interesting and important questions which I cannot 100% answer because
Yeah.
I mean, we are already at levelized cost of electricity numbers in Germany, let's say between 3 to 4 cents per kilowatt hour, and
Yeah.
in the Middle East regions already going down to 1 cent per kilowatt hour. So
Yeah.
I would say this is already enough that we can compete with any other technology out there. But of course, we have to continue development. And as you know, there are new technologies on the map like tandem solar cells, where we can go even with efficiencies above 30%. These days, we are with module efficiencies between 21 and 22. But with tandems, we could even go above 30%. But of course, the problem is reliability and costs. So I'm quite sure that in the next 5 years, we will go from PERC technology to other technologies like TOPCon and heterojunction IBC, which is let's say the next level of photovoltaics, reaching efficiencies of 23% and also having lower temperature coefficient, higher bifaciality, lower degradation, and so on. But from that point on, I am not quite sure when tandems will come on the market. And let's say from the economical point of view, it's not necessary because we will reach LCOEs, so electricity costs for PV below 1 cent per kilowatt hour, which is, let's say, nobody can do it besides of photovoltaics in future. But I mean, development will not be stopped. So tandems maybe will be out there in the next 15 years as well. But there are still many challenges for these technologies.
Yeah. So Periscope. So the Helmholtz Center in Berlin, they just recently announced that they are close to 30%, 29.8%. That's a wonderful result. But you mentioned the reliability. Do you work on perovskites at ISC, or is that you focus on silicon only at this?
Exactly. So we were thinking about stepping in, but and also talked then with our advisory board, and we're coming to the conclusion that we should focus on crystalline silicon only, so on our specialty. But of course, we are cooperating with Helmholtz as well, and other companies like also Total and Oxford PV to develop the bottom cell, the crystalline silicon cell.
Yeah.
And yes, they have announced a very nice efficiency, but I mean, I'm working now 25 years in photovoltaics, and I know how difficult it is to bring innovations into the market. And then PV is a completely different industry branch that any other technology, I would say, because it's about reliability, and you have to guarantee module lifetimes for more than 20 years. And this is extremely difficult. And it does not only has to be proven in the laboratory, it has to be proven also in the field. And this takes a very long time. And so, but I think tandems will come, and we are now also organizing the second tandem workshop that we launched last year. Now it's in Freiburg next year, and there we will discuss exactly these topics. When can we make tandem technologies bankable? What is needed to be done in future?
Wonderful. Hey Radu, thanks a lot for your insight into ISC, your work as a manager, your learnings, and your insight into in this into the solar industry. Thanks a lot for joining.
Thank you for the invitation, and let's push PV together into the market and hopefully also to the European market. So Torsten, I hope then that you can also help us with that in future.
Sure, will do my best.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.